Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident panelist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_daddy. Well, there's a decent amount to talk about, actually. The whole thing I mentioned yesterday in passing with Josh Jacobs, it just kind of triggered something in the back of my head. And then I listened to Tucker Kraft in his locker room interview. And then I hear about what happened with Jair at his non-locker room interview, and it's really starting to connect some pieces. But guess what? We're not talking about that today. The reason being, we, unfortunately, in the off season, we got a lot of time to fill. There's just a ton of it. And, hammering every single topic in one day. The off season and the regular season are very different. Regular season is, here's every single thing that has happened imaginable today, because tomorrow there's going to be 6,000 new things. In the off season, that's not the case. So you get a topic, that's your topic, and that's it, and that's what you talk about. So today is going to be our final PFF day of the season, at least for the Green Bay Packers. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we get to make fun of some other people and use PFF for that. But that's what we're doing today. It's not great, as you can imagine, but it'll give us the opportunity to simply, look at which guys decided to show up and which guys didn't. And I think this is the second year in a row that on the final game of the season, I've looked at and said, man, I'm really happy with the rookies, but where the heck is everybody else? Where's all the guys that we're paying? Kind of getting tired of that, you know what I mean? But I guess that's about it. Why don't we get into that? The only other thing I wanted to mention, I don't know. I don't necessarily even know what to say about it, but Eagles fans are who we thought they were. If you're anywhere on social media, you've probably seen it. It's gone ridiculously viral. I mean, I'm seeing, people that I've noticed from other areas of the world who are reposting this thing. TMZ caught it, and Barstool caught it. I mean, everybody it's everywhere. This guy's in a lot of trouble. But Boss, who is a real good guy, been doing Packers content on YouTube for a very long time, does a very good job there. He went to that game. Kudos to anybody that goes to any road game to rep the Packers. You know you're going to be on an island by yourself. And they were surrounded by scumbag Eagles fans. And one of the guys decided to berate, I believe, his wife, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure his status on marriage or what, if it's his girlfriend or his wife, but just decided to over and over berate her, and to take it to the point of calling her the C word and telling her she's an ugly C word. I just, as a guy, it just freaking killed me on the inside, because you can't not do something about that. You can't. However, if he had done anything, if he had done what he is, in a sense, obligated to do, to go over and punch that guy right in his face, he would have ended up in the hospital. Because what should have actually happened is that Boss should not have had to go over and handle that. The people around him should have handled that. The Eagles fans, who knew that he wasn't allowed to do anything, should have stepped in, should have been a frickin' man, but I guess they don't have any men in Philadelphia. They just have scumbags. They stood there and didn't do anything. The most they had was one guy just put his hand on the other guy's arm like, hey, calm down a little bit. Somebody should have been in his face saying, knock it off. But nobody did. And as much as I generally despise the whole doxing people and canceling people thing, I don't have an issue with it. They found him, they found his name, they found his employer, they found his mother, they found his wife, they found his daughter. They know their names, they know how to contact them, and many people have been in contact with all these people. And so, I don't know, man, it hurt me to my core what Boz had to go through. I mean, I'm obviously sorry for his wife too, but as a man, it is, I can't fathom how much that hurt him to be in that position. And I do hope that he takes some solace in the fact that this guy is hopefully going to get everything that's coming to him because, to be honest, he didn't even look drunk. It'd be one thing if he was slurring and falling all over himself. He just seemed like a normal person. And there's just a bunch of giant burly guys standing around looking, just staring as if to say, like, yeah, he's out of line, but you better not do anything about it. I am, I don't know. But the two of them seem to handle it quite well. I hope that wasn't, hopefully it was just kind of a thing that they just laughed off and just went on about their day. But I could see that being a pretty crushing and devastating thing for both of them, and I'm hoping that it wasn't. Anyways, let's move on. It is absolutely horrible. I don't know what's going to happen. You guys know, obviously I don't, who's going to win this Minnesota Vikings game. I'm assuming it's the Vikings. I don't think a single underdog has won. I don't expect an underdog to win. It's freaking bullcrap. It's so annoying. But I'm looking at a scenario where I have to choose between the Vikings, the Lions, or the Eagles. I understand Washington's in the mix, but I mean, give me a break. They're not gonna do it. I can't choose. I can't. I absolutely cannot pick Philly. I can't. That scumbag garbage fan base, there's no way. No way in the world I'm picking them. The Lions, I can't. They're not as bad, but I've come to learn they're similar. I mean, am I going to sit here and pull for the Vikings? I need the Rams to win so bad. I need the Rams to win so bad. I mean, the Rams in Washington aren't going to do it. They don't have what it takes to overcome these freaking teams. I don't know what to do. Oh, please, 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 AFC. Please. Not that I want any of these teams to even go to the Super Bowl, but please, AFC, I need you. I need you more than ever. I don't even care if it's the Chiefs. I'm so tired of the Chiefs winning. I would give everything for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl this year just to keep these scumbag NFC teams out. I mean, look, I'm annoyed that the Rams won it that one year, but I'd be happy to let them do it. Washington, go ahead. Go ahead, young man. Plus, here's the funny thing. Here's why I'm going real hard for Washington. I just saw Bears fans say that they're rooting for Detroit to beat Washington. They want Detroit over Washington. You know why? Because they hate that Jaden Daniels is better than Caleb. They hate it. So I tell you what, if Washington goes to the Super Bowl, I'll buy a Jaden Daniels freaking jersey. I don't even have Packers jerseys. How about that? Oh, this season's going to make me sick, man. But anyways, just for the sake of filling some time, because we're kind of a little too early to take a break, a little bit too late to get started on one of the PFF things. Look, I'm pretty sure I've talked about this plenty of times, but I'm just so absolutely exhausted with some of this. Let me be very clear. There are people on this team that are not performing, and it is entirely possible that everything gets turned around. It might be a 0.0001% chance for some people. It might be a 5% chance for others, even 10% for some of these guys. It could be 45%. I don't know what it is. But there's nobody in which it's impossible. That's why they're still in the NFL. If it was impossible, they would not be in the NFL. They're in the NFL because it's not exactly 0%. But we have absolutely got to stop this stupid bullcrap where we use somebody being bad as evidence that they're going to be good. Right? I've used this example before with Dontavian Wicks. Wicks was good. And when he was good, we said he was good. And that makes sense, because when people are good, you call them good. Then he went through a slump where he kept dropping everything, and some of us said that's bad. And other people said that's what Devontae did, and look what happened to Devontae. No. Now again, if all you're trying to say is that it's not 0% that he could end up being good, fine. But who gives a crap? Who cares? Yeah, it's possible you could win the lottery. It's possible that Elon Musk could descend from the heavens in some helicopter that he built last week and come down into my home and say, "You, sir, shall have all my wealth." It's possible that the Packers one day will hear about how passionate you are and will decide to feature you, to bring you in and say, "You are the fan of the universe, and you will be given a box seat up there somewhere." It's not impossible. It could happen. Okay, but so then the counter argument to that, well, it's not that impossible. Right. So isn't the point, what is the likelihood? And if that's the case, why are we bragging about bad things that happened? I am not going to say Dontavian Wicks was good, but now he reminds me of Devontae because he's doing poorly with drops. That's not going to happen. That's not how my brain is wired. So while keeping myself anchored to some sliver of possibility that he may pull through this, I also understand that when a late round guy starts to show a little bit of why he was a late round pick, and after 2 full seasons does not in any way demonstrate in any sort of consistent fashion that he is going to be a top tier wide receiver, I will understand that while it's still possible, the odds have got to be below 5%. And so I'm going to call it exactly like I see it. I like Wicks. Seems to be a good guy, very talented route runner. Is he a top 50 route runner in the NFL? Probably not, but he's pretty good. Maybe he is. Maybe, who knows? Maybe he's top 40 or 30 or whatever. I doubt it's much more than that. But he's a good route runner, which is impressive considering, where he was drafted. But do I ever think he's going to become Devontae? No, I don't. And neither does anybody else that's calling him Devontae. If you actually think he's going to be, then I will bet you $100 today. We will put it in escrow somewhere. Feel free to reach out. We will each put $100 in escrow. We'll revisit that by the end of his rookie contract. If he's Devontae by the end of his rookie contract, then you get my $100. If not, then I take your... Does anybody want to take that bet? No, because you don't believe it. I don't care that there's a shred of a chance. And this whole... Like you think you've got some kind of a great argument. Oh, I bet you would have been mad at Devontae. Yeah, I was. And you know what? I was right to be mad at Devontae because he was playing poorly. And I was right to believe that he wasn't going to be very good because you know what? The odds were in my favor. It's the same thing everybody's saying now about Jordan and Brett Favre. Jordan was appalling in this game. He is the reason that we lost 3 in a row. He is the reason that we lost this playoff game, and he is the reason that we are not heading toward a Super Bowl right now. I'm not happy about that. I don't think he's earning his contract right now, and you know what? I'm right about that. That doesn't mean he can't change later, but I don't give a crap about that right now. I care about the fact that this season is over because of his poor play, and the fact that the odds of him ever being an elite quarterback went down. They didn't go up. They didn't stay the same. They went down. I don't know what they went down to, but if in your mind they went up, then you're just being biased and silly because they didn't go up. The odds went down. And that's a little scary. But to sit here and say, oh, well, you guys would have not liked Brett Favre early in his career, you're right. You're right. I would not have liked, if I had this podcast, I would have been saying very similar things about Brett Favre. And you know what? They would have been the right things to say. Just because this shockingly rare anomaly happens doesn't mean that you assume shockingly rare anomalies will happen to every single bad player ever. See, reading backwards from knowledge that we already have is useless. So all we can really do is judge things based on process. Everybody that wants to look at Gutekunst and say, you should have drafted this guy now that you know who's good, that's stupidity. And I have no interest in engaging with those kinds of arguments because it's stupid. It's not about that. It's about what is the process you set prior to. And the fact of the matter is, when somebody who has a lot of issues comes out and demonstrates those issues and doesn't seem to be a very good player, most of the time, and by most I don't mean 51%, I'm talking like 90% of the time, they're going to go on to be bad players. And about 99% of the time, they don't go on to be Hall of Fame players. 99.999% of the time. And so if you think you can do some kind of victory lap, because if we went back in history, you would have been right that one time, congratulations. You know how many times I would have been right instead of you? Every other time. So stop doing that. Stop doing that, please. Stop saying that Jordan is Favre because he throws picks. Stop picking out negative attributes and saying that's how I know they're going to be good. That's so dumb to me. Well, you just need to be patient. Well, I don't have a choice but to be patient. I've never said I wanted Jordan to go. I'm just telling you right now definitively that if this is who he is and he doesn't improve, he's going to have to go. That's all I'm saying. And for you to pull Brett Favre out of your back pocket as though that's some kind of a counter argument, I'm very sorry. That is not a counter argument. That means nothing. Brett Favre is Brett Favre. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and Jordan Love is Jordan Love. Do you know how many guys are similar to Jordan and Favre in the fact that they threw a bunch of picks at one moment, and you just happened to cherry pick the one that went on to be a Hall of Famer? Do you know how many more there would have been that were not Hall of Famers like Brett Favre? So I have no issue with the, let's not overreact. We don't need to cut everybody. We don't need to fire everybody. That's true. But if you're going to sit here and call Jordan Love Brett Favre because he threw a bunch of picks in a playoff game and that caused us to lose, I'm not going to be very happy with that thought process. As though that sums up Brett Favre's career. Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame because he threw 6 picks in a game. That's probably why he's in the Hall of Fame, right? Or is it all the other crap that he did that Jordan isn't doing, which is the problem? Yeah, Davante Adams is the greatest wide receiver in Green Bay Packers history because of his drops in his second year. That's why. Or is it all the other stuff that Wicks is not doing? Because that's kind of what we're talking about, isn't it? But no, it's magically going to happen. They're magically going to become that because they have drops and because they throw picks. That's how you know they're going to be great. What are you talking about? Shut up. God. Can we just agree on that part, please? You can have as much confidence as you want. I don't really care. Just stop doing that. I'm begging you to stop doing that. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and do PFF stuff. All right, let's start with special teams. Believe it or not, this was one of the better days as far as some guys having really good days. On the negative side, really the only one, believe it or not, was John Fitzpatrick at a 54 grade. By the way, they're separate grades. Brandon McManus had a 45 field goal grade. Keyshawn Nixon had a 43 kickoff return grade. So this is more all the other stuff. On the positive side, though, Bo Melton had a 69 grade. Isaiah McDuffie, 71. Corey Ballantyne, 71. Tyron Hopper, 79. That's not the first time he's had some really high grades there. Malik Heath, 81, and Chris Brooks with an 89 special teams grade. All right, offense time now. This is where things start to get depressing. Let's just say that everything below a 60 is bad today because I just want to highlight how disappointing this is. This is for offense if I didn't say that. Malik Heath, 58. Zach Tom, 56. Chris Brooks, 56. Sean Ryan, 55. Jordan Love, 55. Josh Myers, 49. Elton Jenkins, 48, Kadeem Telfort, 46, Emmanuel Wilson, 45, and Travis Glover, 28. Now, there are 5 of these guys that are starters. One of them is Elton Jenkins, who apparently only played 4 snaps. Is that? I feel like he was in a lot more than that, but it says 4 snaps. So we can remove that. The rest of the starters are Myers, Love, Ryan, and Zach Tom. Of that group, Josh Myers, he did have a bad day. There's no doubt about him having a bad day. I don't know that it was significantly worse than what he normally does, and I do think the Packers are and should move on from Josh Myers, so I'm not as up in arms about that one. Sean Ryan is fighting for a spot. And this is massively disappointing to have a 31 pass blocking grade in a game that you desperately need to show up in. The pass blocking, by the way, pretty shocking. Pretty shocking. Not just him. The amount of grades I'm seeing, 12, 31, 53, 0, 1.8. Wow. But, okay, so Sean Ryan, disappointing, but I think the center right guard thing, in my opinion, we need something new. And hopefully Morgan, everybody's like, oh, the first round picks are all trash. We don't know what that guy is yet. He could be a stud. We don't know. But we need to move in a new direction for center and right guard. No doubt about it. The ones that I'm super upset about, though, are Jordan Love and Zach Tom. Jordan Love, for very obvious reasons, he is the leader of the team. He's the highest paid player on the team. He's one of the highest paid players in the entire NFL, and was really the lowest graded player on the team on the offense that is, like a paid guy that is expected to do some high level stuff. Travis Glover, very disappointing with a 27 grade, but it's freaking Travis Glover, okay? He's not supposed to be on the field. If Travis Glover is playing, you've got serious problems. And then Zach Tom, I mean, his only really terrible, and I'll just call it terrible, game of the entire year, as far as I know. We can dig into, yearly stuff on another time. I'm not doing that right now. Was in the most important game. And we saw it. I felt like the first quarter, I know I yelled his name 3 times for doing something stupid. He gave up a sack almost instantly, just whiffed on a guy. I think there was a penalty, and then there was something. I don't know. It's just, what are you doing? I'm so tired of it. I mean, I don't know what it is with the DNA of this team. We can blame Matt LaFleur if you want, but it went back all the way to Mike McCarthy. This team just falling apart in the postseason. I mean, David Bakhtiari had days like this. He's elite all year, and then in the postseason, he just has his worst game of the season. I forget what year it was, but it was 2020 or some year like that. The entire offensive line just terrible. And of course, because the offensive line is terrible, Aaron Rodgers is going to be terrible because he's under pressure the whole game. And it's like, how do you go from like the best pass blocking group to the worst and say, well, it was the 49ers pass rush, which is really good. That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to the point because you shouldn't be that bad. I think when I looked at it was the 49ers' best game of the entire season. That shouldn't happen to one of the best pass blocking lines in football. How does stuff like this keep happening? I would love to just talk to Zach Tom and just say, just be honest with me. What's going on? Was the moment too big? Did you get intimidated? Was it nerves? Was it jitters? Help me to understand this. Help me to know, because you are maybe the best player we have on this team. I'm not going to start getting super critical of Zach Tom because one game is not a big deal. And if Jordan didn't have the prior 2 games, I'd be saying the same thing about him as well. But he did, so it's a different situation with him. But Zach Tom is arguably the best right tackle in all of football. He's a phenomenal football player. He's a elite pass blocker and run blocker, which is such a rare thing for the Packers. I mean, he's the last guy I would have thought would have fallen apart in this moment, and he did. Of all the games, Zach, of all the games that this could have happened. So there were 2 others for him, L.A. and Week 2 Indy. And this was by far his worst pass blocking game. He had a 48 pass blocking. His other lowest was a 57. It's really not even very close. Basically average. This game, not even close to average. 48. How do you have by far your worst game of the season when it matters the most? Well, it's because of the Eagles. No, the Eagles have a problem with pass rush, actually. They're not very good at it. It was a problem coming into the game. We talked about that prior to. Eagles fans are worried, like, oh, we can't get pressure. So why did this happen? I don't know what to do anymore because I've been saying this forever. I said it after 2020. I don't know what to do. This team was ready. And, the Packers team obviously coming into this game had a lot of issues. I don't know why they started falling off, but it's still the same. It's the same sickness. You look at it and go, okay, you got the talent, and maybe this team doesn't have the talent. It's not exactly the 2020 Packers. I'll acknowledge that. But they showed an elite ability that even the 2020 Packers didn't have, especially when you look at special teams and defense. I know all special teams terrible because some metric said it. You're right, because the first half of the season, they had Narvison and all this other nonsense, and then you had some fluky fumble and some whatever. I don't care. Yes, okay, fine. Our special teams with one of the best kickers in football and a really good punter is the same as 2020 when it was the worst special teams I've ever seen in my life. Give me a break. Are you pretending you weren't there to go watch that? Should we get rid of our kicker and punter, or do you like them? Because if you like them, then maybe shut up. Yes, somebody hit our guy in the face with a sledgehammer, and he dropped the ball and then recovered it, and the referees are a bunch of jagoffs, and that's why our special teams are a terrible unit. Okay. Anyways, I just don't know. I just don't know why this stuff keeps happening. I just don't know. I mean, look at last year against San Francisco. We had Myers again. Well, actually, Myers had a pretty good game pass blocking. Jordan Love, 54 again, right? He was elite all year, just fell off in that last game. Elton Jenkins with a 50 grade. It was Elton's second worst game of the entire year. It was Jordan's second worst game of the entire year. It was one of Preston's worst. It was his third worst game of the year. It just, Go back to 2021. There were two guys with a 70 grade or higher. It was Dennis Kelly and Devontae Adams on offense. Lowest graded player, Jair Alexander. A little bit unfair because he was out since week 4, so whatever, and he only played 8 snaps. But it's just, nobody shows up. Where's the heavy hitters? Right? Rashawn Gary had an elite game. I think 2021 and 2022, Rashawn Gary was out of control good. 2023, I don't know. I don't think he was bad, but I don't know where he was. We'll find out in a minute. 2024, I mean. 2021 and 2023, because we didn't go in 2022. But I just, you expect guys to step up. Aaron Jones, 60 grade. Aaron Rodgers, 68 grade. Dillon, 60. Lazard, 55. Randall Cobb, 50. It's just, nobody wants. Mercedes Lewis, 32. In 2020, Aaron Jones with a 29 grade. That's where he had a bunch of fumbles in that game. Elton Jenkins with a 54. Rodgers was great in that game. Rodgers showed up in that one. 89 grade in 2020. Him, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and A.J. Dillon were the 3 that had 70 or higher, with Rodgers at about a 90. Defense was quite good. There's nobody else. Devontae with a 63 grade in that game. Can we just get everybody on the same freaking page? It's like one guy every year. This year, it's going to be A.J. Dillon, and this year, it's going to be Rodgers, but nobody else, so he doesn't have any help. And you had Billy Turner as our left tackle with a 60 grade. Oh, that was a great day, wasn't it? 2019, we had a bunch of guys on offense step up. Elton Jenkins, Aaron Jones, Devontae, Lindsley, Bakhtiari, Sternberger, and Mercedes Lewis. Unfortunately, not the quarterback. Not Lazard, not Balaga, not MVS. Tunyon with a 31 grade. And the defense was just horrific. Kingsley Keke had an 81 grade. The next highest was a 66. Under a 60, Blake Martinez, Preston Smith, Tremont Williams, Kevin King, Jair Alexander, Kyler Fackrell, Adrian Amos, B.J. Goodson, Dean Lowry, Darnell Savage, Montravius Adams, Will Redmond, and Tyler Lancaster. In fact, we had 8 players below a 50. Kyler Fackrell was only our 8th lowest graded player with a 45. We had 4 players below a 40. We had 2 players below a 30. Will Redmond and Tyler Lancaster, both in the 20s. Why does this crap keep happening, man? You can go back to 2016, right? Rodgers and company were decent in that game, but you got Clay Matthews with a 44 grade. Gunter and Thomas and Rollins and Evans. And I mean, these are a bunch of no-name guys. No wonder the defense couldn't do anything. But even Micah Hyde with a 50 grade. Kenny Clark in the 50s. We had Mike Daniels, Dean Lowry, and Jake Ryan were the only 3 that showed up on defense. We just have too many people at one time just deciding not feeling it. There's just too many people. Every single year, there's just too many. And this year's one of the worst. Having gone back and looked at some of those, this is probably one of the worst as far as offense and defense, with how few people played well and how many people played below a 60, below a 50, and those kinds of ranges. This is one of the worst of just not showing up. And yeah, I understand the young team thing. I do understand that. But we've had old teams and this still happened. I'm also not super comforted that Jordan Love's worst games seem to be these last games. He's always one of the guys that doesn't show up, and that upsets me. I need him to at least be let down by his team once. If we get kicked out next year, fine, but Jordan needs to be the guy being let down by everybody. He's lighting it up, but he's got no help from his offensive line or the defense let him down, whatever. I need some heroics from that guy. And again, what is even the theory with the young team thing? What does that mean? They're young, so what? I don't know what the next step is. It's not that they're bad. The whole point is that they're good, and they're just not being good when it matters the most in these games. And again, it's not everybody, but how many people showed up on this team on offense? 2. And you probably know who they are. Jaden Reed, 76.5 grade. Josh Jacobs, 91.1. Josh Jacobs at his absolute best when it matters the most. Jaden Reed at his best when it matters the most. These are 2 guys that came into the game hungry. Again, Jaden Reed already called his shot. He said, this is what we're doing, blah, 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 blah. Get ready to watch me, whatever. It's about to pop off. And it did. He would not be denied. And early on, I remember saying, just get him the ball any way possible because that guy's making it happen. Same with Josh Jacobs. The next highest graded player was Rasheed Walker with a 65.9 grade. There's nothing, that's not, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's the playoffs. Not terrible isn't exactly the standard. Anyways, we'll go through the position by position thing here real quick on offense. Jordan Love, 20 of 33, 61%. His adjusted was 71%. 212 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He had 1 big-time throw and 4 turnover-worthy plays. Early on in the game, he threw a pick that was dropped, if you recall. That's a 9.8 turnover-worthy play rate. That is his highest of the season. His next highest was against San Francisco. It was 7.1. His next highest after that was 5.2. So 5.2 is like the high range for Jordan. He had 1 really bad game at a 7.1. 9.8% of 10% of his passes, 1 in 10, were interceptable. Crazy. On top of that, yes, drops again. We'll get to who that is in a minute. But 2 drops in this game, 9.1%. That is the 6th worst, so it's definitely been worse. We had 5 drops against Detroit, 17.9%. Time to throw, 2.69. There's nothing really wrong with that. 41.5 NFL passer rating. Oh, my Lord. That's crazy. And I guess I don't know why you'd expect anything different, but that's just crazy. Jordan Love, while under pressure, he was under pressure kind of a lot, 42% of the time. I know. There's the new excuse. Don't worry, we'll get there. 7 of 12, 88 yards and a pick. 58.3% of the time, he was not under pressure. You want to know how that went? He was 13 of 21, 124 yards and 2 picks, 52 grade, 52 passing grade. He graded out worse while not under pressure than under pressure. Well, we need to do more play action. Okay, let's talk about that. With no play action, he was 19 of 30, 198 yards and 3 picks, 59 PFF grade. Play action passes, he was 1 of 3, 14 yards, 36 passing grade. Small sample size, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of evidence that play action is the path forward here. Behind the line of scrimmage, he was 5 of 6, 41 yards, 66 grade. On short passes, he was 12 of 15 for 113 yards, 75 grade. On medium passes, that's 10 to 19 yards, he was 2 of 5, 29 yards and a pick, 28.7 PFF grade. And on deep passes, he was 1 of 5 for 29 yards and 2 picks. Oh, he's being held back, man. They're holding him back. They got to let him cut loose. He was 3 of 10 for 58 yards and 3 interceptions on passes 10 yards or deeper. I don't think let him cut loose is the answer here. In fact, I don't think there's an answer to this because let's only throw the ball under 10 yards isn't really an answer either. There's just a problem is all we have. I don't have an answer, but I can certainly identify a problem. This was appalling. Receivers, or receiving grades, whatever. Josh Jacobs was the highest graded receiver, 82 receiving grade, 3 receptions, 40 yards, 2.86 yards per route run, very good day. Jaden Reed, 4 for 446, 75 grade. He was 2.09 yards per route run. Kraft had a 62, Wicks 61, Dobbs 60, Bo Melton 59, Brooks 57, Malik 57, Emmanuel Wilson 39. Not a lot there. The drops, by the way, Dontavian Wicks had a drop. He was just 2 of 6 on the day. And then Emmanuel Wilson has a drop. He was 1 of 3 for 23 yards. Looking at the rushing, Josh Jacobs with an 88 rushing grade. 18 attempts for 81 yards, 4.5 yards per attempt, a touchdown, and a fumble. I don't even think I watched this game. I don't think I watched it. I don't remember any of this crap. Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Because I remember saying to my television screen I wanted to strangle him, which I regret, but sometimes you just say stuff. You say things you don't mean. I love you, Josh Jacobs, and I also understand that I could never strangle you. You would kill me. But I felt it in the moment. 4.11 yards after contact, 12 missed tackles forced. He only had 18 attempts. 12 in a single game. Ridiculous. Tucker Kraft actually had the second best rushing grade, which is hilarious. His 2 attempts went for 10 yards. Dude's doing tush pushes and getting 5 yards per carry. 71 rushing grade. 4.5 yards out of the 5 after contact. I'm pretty sure it was entirely after contact, but that's fine. Jordan Love had a 68 rushing grade, 2 attempts for 10 yards, 5 whatever. And then Emmanuel Wilson, 3 carries, 6 yards, 52 rushing grade for him. Then finally we get to the offensive line. Rasheed Walker, 77 pass blocking, 53 run blocking. I mean, that is what Rasheed Walker is. So I think as far as I'm concerned for Rasheed Day, he had a good day. Left guard is just a disaster. I mean, Elton Jenkins, he played 2 pass blocking snaps, gave up 2 hurries, and had a 0 pass blocking grade, 4 total snaps. I mean, it's hard to 100% judge him based on that, but 2 pressures and 2 plays is pretty wild, Elton. Then we had Travis Glover come in. He played 28 snaps, 17 of which as a pass blocker. He had a 39 run blocking grade and a 1.8 pass blocking grade. So they pulled him. I think this is the order. I hope it didn't go the other way. Put in Kadeem Telfort. He had a 59 run blocking grade and a 42.7 pass blocking grade, and somehow that is way better than anybody else with his 42 grade. So that was rough. At center, again, Josh Myers, 53 pass blocking, 47 run blocking. Unfortunately, it's a little bit below what I expect from him, but not much, which is why we need to go in a new direction. At right guard, Sean Ryan. He's a pretty up and down guy, but I feel like he's been up quite a bit more. He has these types of games, but this was his worst pass blocking game of the year. He had a 35 pass blocking grade against Indy. He had a 38 against Detroit. He had a 31 in this game. Just can't be doing it, man. 31 pass blocking, 63 run blocking. I think we need some pretty heavy competition. I want to just load up on offensive line and just let it be a death match. Let the chips fall where they may. Zach Tom, as I said, potentially worst game of his entire season. He gave up a sack and 3 hurries, 63 pass blocking, 48 run blocking grade. Not good enough. And again, I mean, that's Jordan was under pressure probably more in this game than any other game. That's also not acceptable. It's just, none of it is. We're still having drop issues. We're still having penalty issues. The offensive line suddenly can't pass block, and Jordan has his worst game of the season. This is what we get geared up for? This is a week of preparation for you? What have you been doing for that week? We can't do basic stuff? Is it just intimidation? Are you guys just scared? Is that what I don't know. Somebody answer the question. I don't even know. I don't want to speculate, but what else can I do? I don't know. But, again, I do think there's some guys in that building that I like their mindset, and I'm hoping that in time they can build something. Get Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney and Tucker Kraft and anybody else that has the right mindset. Maybe they just got to work together for a while. Maybe they got to build up their confidence. I don't really know what. But there's certainly a pattern here, and that is be a good team, show that you can win it all, and then get to the playoffs and just decide, I don't want to do this anymore, and play your absolute worst football. I would love to see everybody at their best. I need to start seeing high-paid guys at their best. Jordan, Rashawn, Jair, who's probably not going to be here, Kenny, who, whatever. Elton, you guys got paid. I need you. I know Elton got hurt. I get it. But again, 2 plays, 2 pressures. It's kind of bull crap, but, whatever. Anyways, let's take a break. We'll come back and look at the defense. We'll be right back. All right, defense doesn't get too much better. Again, we're going to do under a 60 just to fully emphasize this. Stokes with a 59.8, but he only played 1 snap. Devontae Wyatt only played 5 snaps. I don't honestly know what happened to him, but he had a 58 grade. Then you have Quay Walker with a 58, Rashawn Gary with a 57. There's another guy that you really need to start stepping up. He did have 2 pressures and a sack on 16 attempts. The stats are fine, but still, whatever. Keyshawn, 57, Lucas Van Ness, 55, Isaiah McDuffie, 51. Then we had Brenton Cox with a 44, Carrington Valentine with a 39. So, again, it's not like I really believed that he was going to be some elite corner or whatever, but again, you got, 3-4 games in a row of being this top corner. How are you going to do in the playoffs? 39 grade. Great. TJ Slayton with a 37, and then Eric Wilson only played 3 snaps, but at a 24 grade. On the mediocre side, Evan with a 63, Xavier with a 66, Kenny with a 66, Kingsley with a 66, Colby with a 66. So this is where I look at it and go, look, I hate to be a little harsh here, but it'd be nice if Xavier McKinney was going above and beyond in games like this, something. Maybe there's nothing to do. Maybe he did everything he could and it's just nothing flashy, so he got a 60 grade. I don't know. Kenny, same thing. 1 pressure, 15 attempts. I mean, I was happy with the run defense. I thought he made some plays there, but I don't know. On the positive side, Javon Bullard, a rookie who shouldn't be asked to step up and make all these plays, but did, 76 grade. Edgerrin Cooper, a rookie, again, that you wouldn't necessarily want to put the hopes of your Super Bowl on, with a 78. He did get downgraded a couple. And then Carl Brooks, who massively got upgraded. He only played 19 snaps, but had an 87 PFF grade. On the run defense side, negatively, Evan Williams, TJ Slayton, Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary, all in the high 40s. McDuffie, low 40s. Eric Wilson, 36, and Carrington Valentine with a 29. The only positive grades, 69.3 for Carl Brooks and Kingsley Enagbare with a 72. Pass rush, the only 2 good ones were Colby Wooden and Carl Brooks, 71 and 73. Lucas Van Ness, TJ Slayton, Kingsley Enagbare, all in the low 50s. Brenton Cox with a 42 pass rush grade. Coverage, Carrington Valentine with a 47. Positive on the coverage side, Evan Williams, 69, Quay Walker, 70, Javon Bullard, 77, and Edgerrin Cooper, 83. When your best cover guy is a linebacker, your life sucks. In fact, the only 4 guys that stepped up in coverage were 2 safeties and 2 linebackers. Technically, Bullard was slot, but you get it. Only 12 pressures in this game. I know it's a good offensive line, but that's just not good enough. I mean, it's just not. We had nobody with 10 pressures that got skunked. Lucas Van Ness only had 9 attempts, but had 0. Kenny Clark was 1 pressure on 15 attempts. That's not good enough. TJ Slayton, 1 pressure on 14 attempts. That's not good enough. Brenton Cox, 1 pressure on 15 attempts. Not good enough. Kingsley, 1 pressure on 10 attempts. Edgerrin Cooper had 1 pressure on 5 attempts, which is fine. Rashawn Gary, 2 pressures and a sack on 16 attempts. That's not terrible. It's not Herculean, but it's, whatever. It's fine. Colby Wooden, 2 pressures and 1 sack on 9 attempts is fantastic. And then Carl Brooks had 3 pressures on 11 attempts, also fantastic. But just not good enough. Again, the 2 sacks from Gary and Wooden, 2 hits from Wooden and Cooper. Stops for the team, Rashawn, Slayton, and Williams had 3, Edgerrin Cooper with 4. No forced fumbles, no batted passes. On the coverage front, Quay Walker, 24 snaps in coverage, not a single target, so that's fantastic. On the other side of the spectrum, Keyshawn and Valentine were the most targeted. Keyshawn, though, just 1 reception for 28 yards. It's kind of a big reception, but I guess if it's just 1, you can kind of let it slide. Carrington Valentine, 4 targets, 4 receptions, 38 yards. 38, again, not the biggest thing in the world. I mean, he was the worst corner, and we're talking 38 yards. It's really not bad at all. But he was the most targeted and gave up the most yards, so it is what it is. Evan Williams, kind of weird. 3 targets, 2 receptions, 35 yards. They're saying 2 touchdowns. They're blaming Evan for 2, and they still give him a 70 coverage grade, so it's kind of a weird thing. I don't know. They'd have to go watch to get the full context. He also had our one pass breakup of the game. Javon Bullard, 2 targets, 2 receptions, just 4 yards. Edgerrin Cooper, 2 targets, 2 receptions, 13 yards. McDuffie, 1 target, 1 reception, 4 yards. Xavier McKinney, 1 target, 1 reception, 9 yards. So there you go for the defense. Only 2 penalties on the whole defense, and it was Slayton and Nixon. 2 just completely unnecessary things. It wasn't like a hold. It wasn't like you're trying to jump off, you jump offside, you're trying to do something. It wasn't just a simple mistake. It was just you being a complete jag-off. And that's it. So, well done. Anyways, we'll get into all the juicy man drama tomorrow as far as all this locker room stuff. See if we can't get a little jump on maybe the direction the team is going to end up heading and what we can do about it. But for now, we'll take a little bit of a long break. It's not really a break, but we're just gonna roll with it. We're gonna take a long break, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.